Okay, the main purpose of this video is, I'll flat out say it, buy food, as much food as you can right now. Now, Kaz had posted a video over on his Patreon last week from, I think it was Ice Age Farmer, talking about he was hearing state governments were stockpiling large amounts of shelf-stable food items. Canned goods, dried goods. Things like dried pastas, cans of soups, veggies, and that stuff. What that was doing is it's been causing a huge gap in the logistics chain. Stores are not able to get as much of the items as what they want, as what they need. That caused a lot of those empty shelves in stores a few months ago, back in April and May time frame. Well, the logistics has caught up for the most part. There are still some things that stores are having troubles to getting a hold of, but for the most part they can get a hold of the basic items that are needed. Now, I was talking to a member of my unit over the weekend about this news story from Ice Age Farmer. And he told me, it's funny that you should mention that. He was talking to someone who's involved with the government in our area and was mentioning to this person in a conversation on how he was having trouble getting a hold of certain items, certain food items, not just for himself, but for where he works at. I'm not going to give too many details on this stuff, or who this person who has ties with government. You know, I'm not going to give any details on them. But the government person told him that I'll be honest with you, the reason you're having troubles getting a hold of this stuff is because the state is stockpiling. Well, the militiaman, you know, that piqued his curiosity. He wanted a little more details. But this other person wouldn't give it to him. All he told him is, you need to be buying as much food as you can right now. Well, once again, piqued his curiosity even more. He was like, well, why? The response was, I can't tell you. All I'm going to tell you is, get as much food as you can right now while it's available. And that was essentially the end of the conversation on that. So, as I've said how many times before, I've said it in live streams, I've said it in videos, get food. I get so tired of hearing this stuff from people that, well, I got to get another firearm. I got to get more ammunition. That's more of a priority. I don't worry about the food. I'll be able to find it out in the wild. I'll be able to catch, kill a deer. I'll be able to catch rabbits. I'll be able to catch fish. Yeah, that's what everyone else is going to think too. So how long do you think that wild game is going to last? How long do you think those rivers, streams, and lakes are going to be teeming with fish? And remember, we're nearing the end of summer here soon. So that means those wild edibles aren't going to be there for much longer. And you're not going to be able to find too many of them in the middle of winter. Buy food. Plain and simple. Get it now, as much as you can. My recommendations are, of your discretionary spending, your money that's left after you pay bills, at least 3/4 of it needs to be going to food. And it should be shelf-stable stuff. Now, the things I'm showing you on the table here, these are items I would recommend for if you're collecting up food or purchasing food for use in the field for your unit. This is the route to go, okay? Your cheapest items you're going to have for getting hold of naturally is your rice and beans. You can get a shit ton of this. For even 20 bucks, you can get a whole lot of this stuff. Do it. Every time you go to a store, get rice, get beans. You may not like it, but guess what? When you're starving, you're in the field, especially in the middle of winter, you're going to want food and you ain't going to care what the hell it is. Get it. Another thing that I've been getting a hold of for our caches and recommending, ramen noodles. These things are very, very versatile. They're dried. They last a long goddamn time, a lot longer than the date that's on the packages. Now over to the next up in price, soup bags. These are just a couple examples of what you'll find in the stores. There's different types of soups. The more common ones you'll see amongst all of them is the chilies and the chicken noodles. These are some other items that you'll find. You'll usually also find either a potato soup or some type of cheese and veggie or cheese potato soup. After that, now you're getting into more expensive and harder to find because this stuff is getting stripped from the market as soon as it shows up. Freeze-dried meals. For the price of one of these, you can probably get about 5 bags of rice. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to get some of those to toss in that cache also for in the middle of winter time. These items are ones I would not have an issue with putting in a cache, leaving out in the field, even over winter. Now, there is going to be shelf life issues with the dried soups because there's a lot more oxygen inside these than there is inside the freeze-dried meal bags. So these are usually good for a few years. If I remember correctly, it's something like 3 to 4. This particular one's good supposedly for a year, but they'll last longer than that. The ones that I think would be more of the issue for storage out in the field in a cache would probably be the ones that are the cheese soups and that stuff, and that has to do with the dairy powder that's in them. That seems to have a shorter shelf life. That's another thing that you could or should probably put inside your caches is your dehydrated milk, your dried milks. Some packages of that, make sure to waterproof the hell out of them, put those in the caches too. Just add some water, rehydrate it, you got some milk to drink. You can also then use it inside your cooking. Another thing I would recommend, don't forget your spices, especially salt. Get iodized and non-iodized. The non-iodized you can use more for preserving foods, especially meats, for salting meats and jerkying things in the field. But don't forget your spices. Whatever works the best for you, get those big restaurant style containers. Toss in some of those in the caches also. Now, if you're going to get some food items, canned food items, I recommend you go along the routes like this. Your canned pastas, basically, you know, your whole meal inside a can. And don't forget canned meats. Spam is half the price of corned beef, and you can go the store-bought or store brand route instead of the Hormel stuff, which will typically be half the price of the actual Spam. Stock up. Okay, get as much food as you can, get it now. I understand, you know, you may want a better firearm. Well, if you have a firearm, you're good. As long as you have some ammunition, you're good. Okay, you can't carry 10,000 rounds of ammo with you in the field. I've had people ask me that because they're of this belief that they need to carry 5,000 rounds or 10,000 rounds with them in the field. And I point out to them, how the hell do you expect to carry all that? Are you going to be putting it in the back of an ATV, back of a truck, and have that with you in the middle of the field? And then that vehicle, that ATV, is going to get knocked out because it's a heat source, and they're going to be looking for that with thermals? You know, food. Number one priority for purchase, food, as much as you can. Now, we're also, like I said, we're nearing the end of summer. You're going to start seeing some markdowns on seeds in stores if they still have them out. A lot of stores have pulled them, put them in back for next year. If you get seeds to stockpile for next year, store them inside your refrigerator. Do not put them in a freezer. I know people have said for years, put them inside a deep freezer and they'll last longer. The issue is, and I made this mistake myself with seeds, you put them in a deep freeze, that damages the cell membranes inside the seeds. It destroys them, it neutralizes them. Some of the seeds will survive, but most of them will not. So when you are relying on every seed in that pack to produce food for you, you're going to come up seriously short. So store them in a fridge. That'll keep them cooler. That'll keep them dormant. It doesn't hurt to put them inside, say, a plastic bag inside the fridge if you're worried about moisture. But food, get as much as you can. Now, before someone says, "Oh, I want to get MREs. I'm going to purchase MREs." I just did some price checks on MREs before starting this video. For a case of MREs anywhere, expect to pay a minimum of $100 per case. And that's, with a lot of those cases, that's without shipping. So $100 for 12 meals. And it's the same if it's the civilian ones or military. They're all exaggerated right now. Actual meal, full-on pouches of MREs by themselves, a minimum of $15 each, just for that single pouch, that single meal. Now, if you think, well, I'll just get some leftovers and just get what I want. Entrees and cakes, starting price $12 each, and none of that stuff includes the shipping. A lot of people are charging the same amount for shipping as what they are for the item. So if you're expecting to pay $100 for that case of MREs and free shipping, no, it's probably going to be $150 or more for a single case once you have the shipping and handling charges added on. Your single MRE meal, yeah, it may be marked as $15 or $12, but they're going to have at least $15 shipping and handling tacked onto it per meal. This is your cheapest route. This is your best route to go. And if you're looking for caching in the field, that's it. Get it. Get it cached. Get it in a damn field right now. They're going to cut off our food supplies in not too long. And I know some dumbass is going to say, well, what's your source? What's your source? We're always going to have food. The governments themselves are stockpiling this stuff right now. And they don't want you to know about it for a damn reason. Because they want you desperate. They want you on your knees begging them for a single bag of rice. Buy it now as much as you can. May God be with all of you.